Hello everybody, welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. I am so excited to do this video. I am so happy that I'm finally able to talk about being pregnant with you guys. Andy and I are expecting our first baby in May of 2020, and I am officially into my second trimester now. I'm 17 weeks, so I wanted to film this video while everything was still fresh in my mind and talk about the first 3 months, because let me tell you, there's a lot to talk about. I made notes so that I can keep on track. I first found out that I was pregnant at the beginning of September, and I was 4 weeks at the time, and my period was late by about 3 days, and I wanted to take a pregnancy test on like day 1 of that missed period, but Andy was like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna get too excited. We're not gonna get our hopes up. Let's wait a few days. And then by day 3, I called him at work and I was like, I cannot wait any longer. I need to know. So I went out and got the pack of pregnancy tests. I bought a multi-pack. I went to Costco. I waited for him to come home that night from work. We took it. And I remember there's like a flood of emotions instantly, and I was so excited. I was so happy. I was in disbelief because it didn't feel real at all. And I even remember I promised Andy I wasn't gonna look at the results when I was in the washroom by myself, but you put the stick down there and you start peeing and you want to make sure you're doing it right, and then instantly I could see the line forming, and then I was like, flipped it over, waited the however long, called him in, and then I just remember those results. That's a moment I will never forget. I also got it on camera, so I'm super happy about that, but that was crazy. I would say everything really kicked in around 4 weeks, and that's when the bloating started. I had period-like symptoms, a lot of cramping. I also got heartburn, which is a little bit unusual for me because I don't really get heartburn. And then over the next few weeks, I became hungry all the time. You know how you hear them people say you just want to eat all the time? That is really true. But I became really fussy about the foods that I wanted to eat. There was actually more stuff I didn't want to eat than food that I did. The food that I wanted to eat all the time, oranges. I wanted fruit all the time. I couldn't get enough oranges. Specifically the ones from Costco. At the time we were buying these clementines, so good. I was probably eating 5-6 of them a day. They're like the little mini guys, but so good. I still eat those all the time. And then a lot of salty snacks, chips, comfort food, stuff like that. And also I was eating like every day toast with peanut butter and jam on it. But then as for meat, I just so turned off by the thought of meat. Oh, and most importantly, get this. This is something I have not wanted to have since probably about week 5, is coffee. I have stopped drinking coffee. I'm still not drinking it. I am on tea right now. I drink a cup of tea a day. And there was just something about coffee and me that did not agree. It was just like too acidic for my stomach, and it just the thought of it didn't sound good at all. And then I also have written down here that I had trouble sleeping. I don't know what the deal with that is, because it's not like you're getting big or anything, but I just remember a lot of restless nights, crazy dreams, and I also started to wake up 1 to 2 times a night to pee. Week 6 and 7 is, okay, this is when it all really gets real. This is when I became really nauseous. I'm very thankful I didn't have any morning sickness. I have not thrown up once, but my stomach just was super nauseous from the moment I woke up until pretty much when I went to sleep at night. It got even more nauseous if I didn't eat on time, so I tried to snack throughout the day. And this is when I really started to feel tired and really unmotivated to work. By like 3 o'clock, I'd be like, oh, my day's pretty much over because I don't want to do anything else. I just want to take a nap. I also don't take naps throughout the day, but I have caught myself throughout the first trimester a few times taking naps on the couch. It feels amazing, but very unlike me. Week 8. Specifically September 30th. This is when we went in for our first dating ultrasound, and this was the day that everything just became real. It was the day that I needed, because up until then you're just told, okay, you're pregnant, and you just kind of have to believe that you are. I went to see my doctor. I told him that I did an at-home test, and he's like, that test that you did is just as accurate as any test that I could give you, and if it said you're pregnant on that, you're pregnant. But you just kind of go through weeks just waiting for proof. And so finally on the day of the ultrasound, when you see the results, that's just when everything kicks in. So the way it works is, this was all new to me too. I wish that Andy could have been in there right from the beginning, but they take the woman in first. They get you all set up, and she said, I like to do this so that I can make sure everything is looking good before I bring your husband in. So she gets it all set up, and then all of a sudden she shows me the monitor and the baby's right there, and I'm just in shock. Then she runs out to get Andy. He comes in, and I could tell he was a little bit nervous when he walked in, and then all of a sudden he just felt everything that I did, and we're both just like mesmerized by what's on the screen, because it's like, for me it was like, it's all real. There's something inside. And then all of a sudden too, she shows us the heartbeat. Of course, Andy sees it right away, and I'm still like, what? Where is it? Andy's trying to show me, Trina, it's right there. And I felt it was literally that episode of Friends when Ross is trying to show Rachel the heartbeat. That was me. I didn't see it. And then all of a sudden I just see it on the screen, and it's just lighting up. And that was literally everything that I needed to see. I wish that we could have filmed it. We asked the lady even beforehand too, and she said, no, unfortunately you can't film this. I should have just pulled it out anyways. But even though I don't have that memory on camera, I'm telling you, it's a moment I will never forget. And then on my way to run to use the washroom so I could go relieve my bladder, I give the ultrasound photos to Andy, and the look on his face when I give him the photos, it was like I saw him as a kid. He's looking down at the photos. He looks so innocent and like sweet. The face, he was just in shock, and he was happy, and he just looked at me like he couldn't believe it. That is something else I will never forget. Now, I don't have video footage from the actual first ultrasound, but I do have my first ultrasound photos, and this is what I used to tell both of our parents, Andy and I's parents, which I'll get to in a little bit here. But look at this little itty bitty baby. When you turn it around is when it actually looks like something real. I just got off the phone with my mom, and that's actually a perfect lead into the next thing I was going to talk about. So week 12 is when I decided to finally tell my family, and I'm not kidding. Keeping this secret from my mom was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, because the first day that I found out, I wanted to call her and tell her right away. But just to make sure that everything was good and we were healthy, I decided to wait. I had originally planned on maybe telling them, I think, week 10. I believe that was the week of our Canadian Thanksgiving. And then I caught like the worst cold of my life. It was terrible because I didn't take anything for it, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, girl, you're crazy, you should have taken stuff. A lot of the doctors will tell you a lot of it is fine to take, but I was just like, I'm gonna be on the safe side and just not take anything and suffer. So Thanksgiving, I was too sick to tell them. The week after that, I believe we had a family wedding, and it was just, honestly, the first 2 months of pregnancy were crazy. There was so much going on. There was like 3 weddings, I think, back to back. And then finally, week 12, it was Diwali, and it was the perfect way to tell them, because I said if it wasn't going to be Thanksgiving, I wanted to tell them on Diwali, because I had this idea of how I was going to tell them, and it worked out perfectly. You'll see in the reveal video. I loved it. It went perfect. I couldn't have asked for a better response from my family. We told Andy's parents on week 14. They were also super pumped. We decided to go with a midwife. We met with 2 before choosing the one we wanted to go with. The day that we were there, she asked Andy and I, do you want to hear the heartbeat? And I had no idea this was even going to happen. I didn't know it was already time that we could hear it, and then of course we said yes. She said this might take a few minutes, you know, sometimes it takes a few minutes to just track down the heartbeat, but as soon as she put it on my stomach, we heard it. It was strong. She was happy about that. She said it was 160, and that, I think, is when it was another one of those moments where it was what I needed to hear. So you do the pregnancy test, you're like, okay, it says I'm pregnant. You go for the dating ultrasound, you're like, oh, there's a baby in there. It has a heartbeat, amazing. But then when you hear the heartbeat, because there's a few weeks in between, you just need that reassurance, because it's not like you're growing. You're not really seeing these physical changes besides obviously how you feel. But when you hear the heartbeat, I think for me, that was the most impactful moment of everything so far. So I personally, now just looking at it, don't think I actually have stretch marks yet, because I already kind of had some on the sides, like on my hips, but all of a sudden you kind of start to see these little marks and you're like, oh my gosh, are these stretch marks already? So I switched up my products. I was using this oil before. I was like, this isn't doing it. So I switched over to some really nice heavy duty shea butter, like natural thick shea butter. Love that. And I've just been like covering myself in it morning and night. But all of a sudden you just kind of start to see your body change. You look down and you're like, oh my gosh, it looks like I'm 4 or 5 months pregnant. But you just have this little pouch that it looks like you've just been eating too much, so you can't even blame it on being pregnant. But that's, I'd say, when I got hit really hard with emotions. It was like Halloween night, I can tell you this. I couldn't fit my pants. So Andy and I, just to give you a little bit of the story here, Andy and I stayed home that night. We watched a scary movie. We ate McDonald's for dinner, which probably made me feel even worse at the time. But then after all that, I had tried on a pair of pants because I had to wear them to something the next day, and they like didn't even really fit. Like the button was almost popping. They were so tight. I didn't have long enough sweaters to cover the bulge, and then you're just feeling pretty bad about yourself because you're like, I don't think I should already be showing this much. But I would say now that has definitely gone away. I don't feel as bloated, and it has actually turned into a bump. So if you're in that stage, I promise you it gets better. It's natural to feel all those emotions because nobody wants to gain weight without choosing to gain weight. It's just your body changing, and it's all natural. It's gonna happen. So just accept it, and I promise you, you won't feel so bad about it. Now I'm just kind of like, I'm 17 weeks. I probably should have a bump by now. If you're pregnant, I totally recommend you downloading these apps. They're the ones that I've used the most. The first one is the bump, and the second is what to expect. And the apps just kind of keep you on track with where you're at in your pregnancy. It gives you fun little facts. It tells you what you should be feeling on, like, say week 7 is when you should start to see this, or you're gonna feel this. It also gives you this little things like, today your baby is the size of a raspberry. It's just cute stuff like that to follow along with. We also do not plan on finding out the gender, which I think is going to be pretty hard near the end. Right now we're feeling pretty good about it. We both have agreed that there's just so few surprises in life, and we want this to be one of them. The only thing I really think I'm gonna struggle with is choosing a name and being ready to go when that baby pops out. Like, I have to have a boy and girl name ready to go. Like, I'm more concerned about that than I am the shopping aspect, because I feel like I'm just gonna get gender neutral stuff. But that is the end of my first trimester. I thought that I would show you guys my stomach now too, because I feel like I see everybody else close out their videos with showing you guys the bump. Hopefully you're even gonna be able to see it, because the pair of tights that I have on does a pretty good job at holding me in. They have like a nice compression to them. Alright guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If there was ever a video that I wanted you to leave me a comment on, it's this one, to let me know any tips that you have for me about pregnancy, after pregnancy, things that I can buy to make my life easier, things to buy for the baby, all that stuff. let me know. And if you're pregnant at the same time, congratulations. I'm excited to go through this with you guys. Leave me what week you are so I can read that. And that's it. I will see you all in the second trimester recap.